Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Alan and I'm from Beginner Programmers, and I wanted to see if I could attempt to build Instagram in under 30 minutes. So, let's start. So I'm going to start out by creating a new application with Rails new and the name of my app. And you can see this created a series of files and folders. So I'm going to go ahead and change a directory into the app that I created and type Rails S to start the server. To get to the server, I navigate to localhost 3000, and as you can see, this is the default Rails application page, so everything works so far. Now I want a person who's viewing my site to have the ability to log in and register, and a popular gem in Rails is devise, and that provides this functionality. So I'm going to go ahead and install devise. I'm going to open up Sublime, and I'm going to drag my application file into Sublime so I can start editing it. Now, following the devise instructions, the first thing they say to do is to navigate to your gem file and add gem devise. Now, as you can see, I'm on the GitHub for devise, which shows me how to install it. I type bundle install to install the gem. Then I type Rails G devise install to install the devise configuration files. Now I want devise to generate a user for me, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And following their documentation, there is just one more thing I have to do, and I have to drop this line of code into my configuration files, and this will allow devise to send emails to each individual user. But since I'm on my individual computer and this isn't live yet, those emails will go to my terminal in which I can see them. Emails such as forgot password, recover password. Now here's the migration file that devise created, and it created a series of columns such as email, password, sign-in count, etc. So I want to add this to my database, so I type rake db migrate, and I'm going to start my server. So I'm going to go ahead and navigate to the user's sign-in path, and you can see it works. The HTML is here, and there's link to sign up, login, and also forgot password. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and add Bootstrap. This will allow me to add some pre-made styling to my application. So following their GitHub, they say to add the Bootstrap gem to your gem file. So I'm going to go ahead and add that and run bundle install. So if I go back to their documentation and scroll down, the next thing they say to do is to add these two lines to your CSS file. So I'm going to navigate to application.css, and I'm going to add that. Now they also say that I have to rename the file from application.css to scss. Then after that, they tell me to add this one line to application.js. Now that we have Bootstrap installed, I want to go ahead and navigate to Bear, which is a free Bootstrap template, and I want to go ahead and download it. So I downloaded it right before this, and let's see what's inside. So I open up index.html, and they have the regular HTML tags, the head tag, body tag, and some JavaScript. So for our application, we'll only be needing the middle. We won't need the top, and we won't need the bottom because Rails will provide this for us. So I really only want the navigation and the center. So I already extracted that, and I'm going to go ahead and drop that in. So I'm going to replace my application.html with this Bootstrap theme. So I want to run Rails G model post because I want to create a post model so a user can create essentially an Instagram post for their feed. So I want to create that, and I want to also add the description to that, and then I want to do Rails generate controller posts. Now one thing I want you to notice is that whenever you generate a model, it's always singular, but whenever you generate a controller, it's always plural. So I want to add this to my database, so I'm going to go ahead and type rake db migrate to add that in. So now, as you can see, posts get added to my database. Now I want the controller to also generate some views for me. So I'm going to go ahead and rerun the generate controller command, and I'm going to pass in some views or some pages that I wanted to make. Now because I ran the controller before, I have to overwrite some of the files, so I'm going to go ahead and accept that. So now I want to check that everything worked properly, and I could see that the methods are here in the controller, so all is well. So I'm going to go ahead and remove these routes and add resources for posts, which would allow me to create individual posts, see the posts, and give me all the pages for the post. Then I want to set the home page to be the post index, which would show all the posts made in sort of a feed-like style. So I'm going to go ahead and start my server and check it out. And as you can see, everything works flawlessly. The navigation is here and the theme is completely implemented. Now, right now it still says start Bootstrap, so I want to go ahead and change that. And that file will be application.html. So let's go there. And here you see I have start Bootstrap. Now I want to create a link. And this is how you create a link in Rails. So I do a link to and the text that I want to be inside of the A tag, and then the place. So I want it to go to the root URL, which is the root path. And this A tag had a class called navbar brand, and I wanted to add that class to the tag. And let's see if it works. So it came in, and as I hover over it, you can see that it shows that it would code to the home page being localhost 3000. So let me actually create another link. Let me create a link to the new post page. So I'm going to do a link to new post and send them to the URL. Now, unsure what the URL is, so I'm going to type in rake routes to see what routes my application is currently handling. And it is indeed new post. So I'm going to do a link to new post, and it's new post path. I'm going to save that and remove the line above it and go ahead and turn on my server. Let's see how that works. So link is created, and it takes me here to post new, and home takes me to post index. So I'm going to remove these links, and now I have these two. Now I should probably add links for logging in. So devise comes with this method called current user, and if current user means if a person is logged in. So I have if a person is logged in, or else meaning if the person is not logged in, and then I have the end to wrap that whole statement. Now if the person is not logged in the else side, I want to give them a link to either log in or register. So I have a link to login, and I'm not sure what route that is, so I'm going to go ahead and cancel my server and look up break routes to see what routes my application is serving, and it is the new user session path for login. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. then I want to look at the one for signing up. And it's new user registration. So let's do that. So I'm going to go ahead and start my server. And I get an error. Oh noes. So it turns out I misspelled path. Path indeed has an H. So let's try that again. And it works. So you can see registration, login, all works, and all the links work totally fine. I'm going to go ahead to the new post path, and I'm going to create the form that allows a person to create an Instagram post. So the way you do this is that you add a form for, and it's a form for @posts, and I have to include a label for the description, and also I have to include the field for the description. So this is going to be a text area field, and I pass in both the description attributes. I create a break tag, and then I create a submit button. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the stuff from the top and type in a title. New post. So in order to get this to work, in the post controller, I have to serve up the variable @post equals post.new to basically serve that to the form. So let's try it out. And the form works. Don't mind me, I'm just playing around with things. So let me actually sign up. Put in my password. So this works great, but I would like a notice to tell me if I'm logged in or not. So devise actually comes with a default notice, and I want to go ahead and add a notice to the application. So I'm just going to put a flash message, and a flash message is a message that will appear when something changes. So if you log in or you log out or you delete an item, this would be a very good flash message to have. So I drop that into application.html, and now I need to create a logout button to see if I can get the message when I log in. So if the current user, I'm going to go ahead and add a link to logout. Now I don't know the path off the top of my head, so I'm going to go to rake routes and see what the session destroy is. So I find it, and it's destroy user session path. Now in order to do this, you have to pass in method delete, because you're deleting the current cookies. So let's do this, or rather the current session variable. So logout works. So let's try everything out. Sweet, everything's good. Now I want it to ask before it logs me out, so I'm gonna add a confirm are you sure. And now it will give me a little pop-up box. So the next thing I want to do is I want to add the ability to add images to my application, and paperclip is the gem that does that. So let me install the paperclip gem. Now I'm going to go ahead and find the gem version that they recommend, and I'm going to go to my gem file and drop that in. I'm going to cancel my application and run bundle install to make sure I get it. And I'm going to continue reading on in their documentation. Now they're telling me to do Rails G paperclip, and the model that I want to add the images to, and the name of the image. So I did Rails G paperclip, and it's on the post model, and I just want to call it image. So I did that, and I'm going to go ahead and add that to my database by running rake db migrate. So the migration went through, and I'm going to go ahead and type in Rails S to start my server. Now in order to add this, I have to go to my post model. So in app models post.rb, they tell me to add in this validation and has attached image. This just means that the post will have this particular image and it will have this particular size. So I want to change it, the default text at avatar, and for me it's going to be image, and I want to change the image size to be 500 pixels by 500 pixels. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And if I go back to my form, I just have to add HTML multi-part true. And just to triple check, I wanted to check how they did it to make sure my syntax is correct. I'm getting nervous now because the time is running thin. So I add that, and I know I have to add the input fields for the actual photo input. So I added a break tag, and then I added a label tag to note to the user what they're inputting. So I put the image, so they know that they're inputting the image, and I put a file input tag. I'm not sure if that tag is the correct word for it, but we're going to see in a second. And I got an error. This is the wrong type of tag. So, moments of doubt, I Google it, and it takes me to the Rails documentation, and I Control F for file, and I see what I did wrong. It's file field, not file input. So, let's try that again. And it works. Alright. So I added the image, but there is more I have to do to get this to work. So in the new version of Rails, Rails 4, they added features to keep users from doing SQL injection, basically inputting things into forms that don't belong. So I could edit the HTML of a form and do malicious things like change your password or edit your bank account information. This just makes it harder for a hacker to edit information or perform malicious activities on your site. So I want to make it so that when the user is submitting this form, they can only edit two things, only the image and the description. So they cannot edit other information related to this individual post. And now after that, I created the create action. Now after new is triggered, create will be triggered after. So I want to do a post is a new post, so at post equals post.new, and pass in the permitted parameters. So permit post. So whatever the person is allowed to input, I'm going to add that into the permitted post. And if that post saves, so if everything went well, I want to send them to a particular page. Otherwise, I want to send them somewhere else. So if the post is saved, so if everything went well, I want to redirect to the post path, which is the individual post page. Um, but if it does not go well, I want to send them somewhere else. So if it does go well, I want to say flash success and give them a happy message. So success, exclamation point. Otherwise, I will say, I'll give a flash error, and I'm going to fill it in with the error messages. Now to get the error messages, it's going to be the post.errors.full messages, and post will contain the reason why this can't be saved. One example of a reason why this couldn't be saved is if we don't have an image and I attempt to create a post, we will get an error, and this flash will render the proper error message for this page. So I want to redirect to the new root path if it doesn't save, and let's try this. Now I wanted to do rake routes to make sure everything works well, and I started my server. So I'm going to go ahead and try this out, and it works. So that's the post show page, which has nothing there yet. So let's go ahead and drop some code in. So image tag is how you display images. So I'm going to set an image tag and find the post and the URL, and I want the medium size of the image. Then I want to show the description. I have an error. So I forgot to, on the show page, find the post. So I have to do @post equals post.find, and I want it to find by the ID parameters. And this should serve the post correctly. And it's served. Only thing is the description's too close to the right hand side. So I'm just going to put a break tag between the two of them. So that works fine. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out because I was zoomed in. So the next thing I want to do is add just some basic styling. So I'm going to skip ahead and show you what it looks like now. So I just added a div around the image and made the div white. That's basically it. So I want the index to get all the posts. So inside the index action, I'm going to do @post equals post.all. I'm going to go ahead and delete this. And I'm going to loop through each post. So post.each do x. So for each post, it will create a loop where the individual post is x each time. So this is the white class, or the div class that I created that produces that white box around the individual posts. So I'm going to create an image tag. And I'm going to say, give me x, so this individual post called x, give me x's image, the URL, and give me the medium size. I could already see what it is. I'm supposed to use plural s, because that's what I use on the page, and it works. So let me test it out. Let me create a new post again. And it works on the home page. Now this is as far as I can get in only, I think at this time it was 33 minutes. But in general, I just wanted to show you the real power of Ruby on Rails is the ability to create applications with great speed. And if I had, let's say, a month or two, I could really put in all the features and really fine-tune this application. So again, my name is Alan. Thanks for viewing this video, and if you want more information, head over to beginnerprogrammers.nyc in the link below and sign up for a free course. Thanks.